So we know that in the Gov for All project objectives, you want to create long-term local income through regenerative practices. How do you plan to develop your business models in those living labs?
Okay, we have a very clear approach in that case. We apply the 4-return methodology from Commonlands, rooted in new theory from the Presenting Institute. And we use that as a glue to bring together the actors that are acting on that landscape, on that territory. Okay, we bring them together and we apply those processes, those methodology, to unearth their value, what their vision, to build a vision, a common understanding of the things that are happening, and a common vision for a better future. Once that is done, and you have that sense of purpose from the community that can help to build governance model for any business you want to create, that can help have healthy relationship between the people. Then if you look at the business, you do it in a business way. So you start from identifying what is the problem that you are addressing, to assess what are the, what's your differential value proposition. So you apply the standards, let's say startup agile methodology to try to uncover what potential new business model could fit that specific desire for change. And then we follow kind of pretty standard approaches to validate those business model, and hopefully, because the difficulty is that we do it. The Go for All project is a living lab, so we bring multi-actor, and so you have different organizations working together to develop, let's say, sustainable business model. And obviously these are different organizations, so there is a lot of challenges if you talk about business, and you cannot do that unless you do this preparatory work of really developing this common sense and this common purpose, because otherwise it will be difficult for the organization to cooperate towards that vision.
One last question for you. Incredible. This time you are addressing the current challenges to the diffusion of carbon farming. How does carbon farming restore soil health, and which practices should be encouraged first?
Okay. Carbon farming, it's a business model designed to finance the transition towards more sustainable management. So it's in its DNA to support soil health. I cannot see, because ultimately in carbon farming what you reward is the ability of the farmers and the managers to grow the amount of carbon in the soil, and that means to grow the biodiversity, the biomass that is in the soil. Therefore, we are talking about soil health, because a more diverse, a more functionally ecosystem, it's soil health somehow. So it's part of DNA. Carbon farming does that. Then the carbon farming it's really focusing on soil health, and it has to be in climate finance. You talk about additionality, so it's something new. So you're financing a transition. It's not you just pay somebody to do whatever they're doing. There has to be a change behind. And so the practices that could be new to that specific farm are specific for that farm. It's very difficult to come up with a silver bullet. It's practices that work are context specific. They don't work in isolation. So it's not one practice, it's a whole set of practice. You change one thing here, you add one other thing here. So it's really looking at the whole farm management. It's an opportunity for the farmer to sit down and say, okay, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. And maybe I would have liked to do this and that, but I didn't know. It felt like too expensive. It wasn't sustainable. Okay, I have a moment. We have to picture the same transition that would happen when a conventional farmer becomes organic. When a conventional farmer becomes organic, it takes depending on where you are, probably 3-4 years before you can be certified. You have to have that transition time. And in that transition time, you do the investment, you do the changes, but you get paid as a conventional. You don't produce organic food. So carbon farming is something that comes to finance that transition, to pay that moment of change.